The next stage of the hero's journey is called tests, allies, and enemies. This stage of the hero's journey is a lot vaguer than the stages that came before it. It's not so much a plot point as it is a larger section of your story. In this stage, your hero gets used to their new surroundings, meets people, typically falls into a sort of friend or ally group, meets some enemies, encounters some challenges, and goes on a couple of quests leading up to the larger conflict. In this video, I'm going to explain the 6th stage of the hero's journey, give examples, and share with you what I think that you should do during this stage to expand the world of your story and propel your hero towards the final conflict. So first, what is the definition of tests, allies, and enemies? Your hero has just crossed the threshold from the ordinary world into their adventure. This section is the part of their journey where they're first getting acquainted to this new world that they have just entered. They're discovering all sorts of new things. They're discovering new characters, new rules, new facets to reality that they had never seen before. It also means that your hero is very likely to get into trouble, which is a lot of the times what they do during this first stage. The quests and little tests and things that they do in this first part of the adventure in the hero's journey help solidify their group of allies and also help solidify their group of enemies. In the Disney movie Moana, for example, right after she crosses the threshold, one of the first people that she meets is Maui. Maui is not Moana's ally at the beginning. He is a god who's been trapped on an island for a very long time and has been always looking for an escape because he has lost his magical weapon and is not able to escape on his own. So when she shows up in her boat, he sees it as an opportunity to escape and then locks her in this rock cave and uses her boat to escape. She has to do a little bit of quick problem solving in order to turn the situation around and get him to help her instead of lock her in that rock tomb forever to die. This is a test that Moana has to go through, and Maui is both an enemy who turns into an ally in the story. When Harry Potter is on the train to Hogwarts after just crossing the threshold into the new magical world, he starts to meet a lot of people at school. He meets Ron and Hermione, who become his friends. He meets Draco Malfoy, who becomes his enemy. He goes through all of these tests and tribulations, such as fighting the troll. All of these little things that Harry has to go through are not the final ultimate conflict of the story, but they are little challenges that all help solidify his group of allies or enemies and help him get acquainted with this world that he's just entered. So what do you need to accomplish during this stage of the hero's journey? Because this stage is not very well defined and it is very long, you want to make sure that your story does not veer off course or drag when it's in this part of the hero's journey. You want to make sure that your story continues to build on itself as it approaches the final conflict. For example, if you're writing a story like Harry Potter about a boy who goes to a wizarding school, learns that he's a wizard, meets a bunch of other kids, learns that there's a big evil wizard and has to defeat the wizard, you want to make sure that that section in the tests, allies, and enemies section helps move that hero closer to being able to fight the big bad wizard. You don't want him to arrive at wizarding school, go off and do all sorts of unrelated adventures that don't actually have anything to do with a big bad wizard, and then about halfway through the story, you figure out that there's a wizard, and then all of a sudden the story becomes about the wizard. You want to keep everything connected and keep the hero moving toward their final goal so everything feels like it has a purpose. Another example is that if you're writing a mystery and your hero has crossed the threshold into becoming a detective and trying to solve this case, during this tests, allies, and enemies section, you want them to be discovering things that are related to the final mystery and reveal, but also, exploring other friendship groups and revealing more clues, but you don't want them to go off and do something completely unrelated and then all of a sudden come back to the mystery. This tests, allies, and enemies section has to be really tied into the major conflict and have events and all the little tests that happen in here all be stepping stones leading up to that big conflict. So in order to do this section justice and have this section move your hero toward the end of the story, you want it to be relevant. You want the test that you select to either move your hero toward the final conflict, as I mentioned, or reveal a part of your hero's character that they are either going to have to overcome or channel during the fight with an antagonist. Like, if your hero is really afraid of spiders and they're going to have to fight a giant antagonist spider, maybe have them have a couple tests, or at least one test in this section where they have to confront their fear of spiders. You want them to meet all of the major players in your story, all of the people that will become their best friends or their enemies, or maybe you don't want them to meet the main antagonist yet if it's going to be a big reveal as to who that is, but you want all of the pieces to be on the chessboard during this stage. This is the time you have to establish who's on the chessboard, because the next stage of the hero's journey after this is the approach to the inmost cave, and that is really when you start setting your hero up to defeat the antagonist and have this big heroic transformation. That's it for this video explaining the 6th stage of the hero's journey, tests, allies, and enemies. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. My name is Claire Fraze, and I'm an award-winning young adult author who makes videos on this channel sharing the actionable writing tips that helped me make my own writing better. Are you writing a story based on the hero's journey? If so, what does your 6th stage look like? What are the tests, allies, and enemies that you have your hero encounter or go through during this part of your story? Comment below and let me know. And if you are writing a story and you're unsure as to whether the section that you have branded as the tests, allies, and enemies section is being used to its fullest potential, let me know and describe it in the comments, and I would be very happy to chat with you about it. Make sure to hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when the next video in this series comes out. I hope you have a fantastic week, everyone, and as always, happy writing.